So for the last 3 years, I have been celebrating Watchtower Victims Memorial Day. Last year I recorded it. I went to a Kingdom Hall and left a memorial, and I was hoping that by recording it, the message about why there are victims of Watchtower and why they need a day and they need to be recognized, I was hoping that that message would reach all kinds of people. But I was hoping that the memorials themselves that I left last year and the year before would reach Jehovah's Witnesses. And in a way, I guess I succeeded. I know for a fact that the memorial that I left last year, my family was aware of, and at least one member of my family listened to what I had to say about it. But to be completely honest with you guys, I'm getting a little tired of trying to communicate to a Jehovah's Witness. To try to communicate with people that are proud to shun their family. They are proud to tell people that they need to deny perfectly safe medical treatment that could save their lives. That are proud to not look into any reports of child abuse, to not follow any news stories of court cases all over the world trying to show their organization what they could do to prevent children from being raped. To try to communicate with people that are happy to whitewash their history. To say that nothing happened in 1975 when they published tons of things about 1975. They had a freaking convention part entitled Stay Alive Till 2075. Yet, they make it look like they never said any of that. That was just the fault of individual witnesses. Individual witnesses don't get to have a part on the convention by themselves entitled Stay Alive Till 2075. That's something from the organization. But generations of older witnesses are lying to their young people about it. They're deceiving them. And some of it, I'm sure, is self-deception, but I'm sick of trying to communicate to people that are proud of doing that type of thing. So this year, this memorial is for ex-Jehovah's Witnesses. 3 years ago, my cousin was on the back of her husband's motorcycle. They had both been drinking probably all day. They were part of this sort of Harley motorcycle culture that is popular in especially in northern Wisconsin. And unfortunately, drinking goes along with that. And she was a disfellowshipped Jehovah's Witness. She was born and raised in, just like me, generations on both sides of her family. She didn't really have anyone, any distant relatives or anything like that weren't witnesses. And she believed it. She was completely indoctrinated up until the day that she died. And I think that's got to be the worst way to be. And fortunately, I never had to know what that pain was, to feel that you were thrown out of the one true religion. You weren't good enough to be with God's righteous people. You couldn't cut it. So God himself wanted you thrown out of his organization. That's the view that she had up until her last day. And I just think that waiting to try to be worthy of forgiveness and begging for forgiveness or God God destroying you. That's got to be an awful way to view the world, and I'm very sorry that she had to go through that at the end of her life. She was 29 years old when she died. She had gotten married a couple years before. She married a wonderful, sweet guy that was never a Jehovah's Witness. Before that, she'd married a really terrible Jehovah's Witness. Thankfully, she got out of that marriage. I'm not sure if she met the guy that she married the second time after she was disfellowshipped or before, but not a single other member of her family attended the wedding. I was the only blood relative on her side that was there. I remember her telling me one time, I don't remember if it was that day or if it was a different time, but she told me that even after she was disfellowshipped, her dad would talk to her from time to time. He would still help her with some things here and there. I was a little surprised because my dad wouldn't do that, but she also believed it. So I think sometimes some parents can maybe act a little bit differently depending on what the disfellowship person's view is of the all-important mother organization. But she said that she would never speak to her mom, and I was kind of surprised because it seemed like they were kind of close. But she said that anytime she would even think about it or, you know, get close to, she would just cry uncontrollably, and she couldn't stop. And I just felt so terrible that not only was she completely estranged, but she felt that that estrangement was her fault, that she wasn't good enough to even really be a part of her own family, because that's the message that Watchtower sends. And I would like today for ex-witnesses all over the world are thinking about the victims of Watchtower, but I would like to argue in this video that the victims are bigger than what we normally would think of. And if you could tally all of the people who maybe they didn't kill themselves, but maybe they sort of at times lived life on the edge or just kind of took risks because they were trying to drown out that pain and that guilt and that shame. And maybe sometimes they were feeling so terrible that their life didn't really feel like that much of a loss. I think if we could count those people, in addition to the people that have put a gun to their head, jumped off of a traffic overpass because they were in so much pain by being shunned by their families, in addition to all of the people that died saying no to a blood transfusion because Watchtower Society told them that that's what God wants them to do when it could have saved their life, in addition to all of the children that had their lives ruined, women that had their lives ruined by being raped and being blamed for it. If we could add up all of those people, I think the amount of blood guilt that's on Watchtower's hands would be just astronomical. So I guess today I would like ex-witnesses to think about that and to think maybe about a time in their life that maybe they took too many risks because of all the terrible stuff going on in their head because of what they had been through. And I want them to realize that those feelings were put there by the same brainwashing organization that lies to everyone about everything all the time, and that caused all of the deaths that no one can deny that they caused. And Watchtower Corporation just is not worth that. It's not worth your time. It's not worth your life. It's not worth feeling like shit about yourself. So don't let them do that to you. It's what they want. Watchtower wants you to grovel and come crawling back and beg for your forgiveness and to feel like an awful, terrible sinner. They want you to crawl back, or they want you to be destroyed. So don't let them destroy you. Be safe out there, kids.